Welcome, guys. I want to quickly invite you to our Owner Operator Forum Facebook group. So if you search Owner Operator Forum, we will show up. You can request to join, and you will have access to us and a bunch of people that are like-minded, business-oriented, and would like to learn about trucking. So there will be a lot more content, more videos, behind the scenes, Facebook Lives. So go check it out, and I'll see you there.
Welcome to truckyoo podcast. This is
All right, one more time.
You got this.
welcome to truckyoo podcast. My name's Jose.
Sebastian.
I had to think about who I was.
I was like, wait. How you doing, man?
Good, brother.
Good.
Good morning. What's going on in the shop today?
Today, a lot, as you can hear. We are getting the new trucks delivered.
Pulling in the first. That was your first
That's
truck.
my first, yeah,
99.
Yeah, the black 2007 D12. Awesome, good truck. It's at the end of its life. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yep, I saw that. We got the first D12 and then your first glider. You and your
D12. Yeah, the glider we bought with my
here.
dad, and we used it for our FedEx account. We bought it new, and it's what are we doing? We're going to talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about this one.
Really quick.
This one. Well, that's the one.
Well, I would say we're overhauling it. I think we shouldn't dwell on this too much. I wanted to overhaul it and keep it. I was going to sell it, but I'm not. I'm keeping it. It's a really good truck. Drivers like those Coronados.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about what we're talking about today?
Yeah. So today's topic is going to be about 5 signs. Am I ready to buy a truck?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to be more informed about?
Yeah, it's a good topic. On time, I have been having conversations. A lot of guys are asking to buy a truck or are thinking about buying a truck. And there's a common thread that I've been seeing that I want to talk about. So,
do you think is there like a certain reason why guys are wanting to jump into owner op this year for some reason? Or are we seeing more owner operators wanting to get in the business this year?
Yeah. There's a lot of hype because of the demand, the supply. How should I say this? There's a lot of hype around there's a lot of work, and there's a lot of work, but I feel like everybody that wanted to buy a truck is pulling a trigger right now because, oh my God, we should do it right now. We should just do it, And I had some conversations with people. I wish I had recorded them, but I'll bring some owners and we'll talk to them with their experiences. But I was like, hey, let's make an episode about that just to give guys some heads up. And maybe some different angle on things. What do you got for me? Perhaps some questions?
Yeah, I got some questions prepped up for you. First one would be, do you think potential owners know what they are buying? Do they know specs, engine, trans, diffs?
No, that's the number one thing I've been seeing is when I ask them questions like, what is the engine trans? They're like, oh, I have to double check on that. And that's not a good sign because you have to know, looking at a truck, primarily what the engine and the transmission is, not how it looks. So that's why it actually, few times I've heard that the guys didn't know specs. So know your specs, like know at least the transmission and the engine, and do the most amount of research you can afford to do. Because the next step in knowing the truck is emissions, right?
Yes.
Everybody forgets about emissions, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, we're in 2021. These
crazy.
emissions have been out for close to 2021. Well, how long would you say it's been?
15 years.
15 years.
Since if you're thinking about EGR, then you 2003, 4,
yeah.
Then it's a long time, and it's I have been seeing a lot of guys not paying attention to emissions, and that's what
ends up biting them in the ass.
And we'll touch on it later, but engine trans, Re-rent is like a is like an additional thing that I sometimes ask, but I think it's a little bit too complicated for
guys to understand, right?
Yeah.
Or to
Yeah. So those are the most important things, and just the research the specs. Is it the right thing? Don't look at the truck itself. That's what I would answer to that question.
Okay, that sounds good. As far as emissions, I know you brought that up. Is there a common question that you get asked on the emissions, or you tend to ask the guys, are you aware of what emissions are on the standards on this unit that they're looking to buy potentially?
No, nobody knows anything about emissions. No, well, they know they have it, but they don't know, is it a one box? Is it separate units? Is it, what's the potential cost that it's going to cost me? What's actually the state of the DPF filter or the SCR? There, again, I'm talking about advanced things, but when you're buying a truck from a dealer, especially, or a bigger place, have them run the efficiency test. Have them give you the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Get an idea of what you're buying.
Yeah, and some guys we do it all the time. I haven't done it on the last purchase, and some of them have issues with it, which is fine because I got it at a discounted price. But if you're buying a truck from a place, ask them to give you the emissions on the efficiency of the DPF, and even SCR.
SCR, exactly.
You would, you're going to look at all the readouts, and you're not going to know what to do. But then again, at least you will have it. You'll take it home and Google it.
Google it, or give your mechanic a call. One of your buddies that are possibly mechanically inclined.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
This way you can make your decision.
That's a good question. That's the second sign is, like, at least understand basics around the emissions.
So would you say majority of the guys just know that they have to put DEF fluid in the truck, but they really don't know how to sit exactly?
No, they don't know the mechanics of that.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, look, that's why we're doing this, right? To give heads up, because you're not going to talk somebody out of buying a truck. And why is somebody buying a truck? Well, they want to make more money. So let's help them make more money. But
the right way.
But in order for you to make more money, you have to
know what you're buying.
Know what you're buying. Know where you're cutting cost and saving, because you're working with a fixed rate oftentimes, and you have to know how to lower your cost in order to make more money, which we'll get to that.
Higher the maintenance cost.
Yeah. What else do you have?
I got another one for you. Do I need to know my credit score before I go into the the truck market?
You do need to know your credit score, and that's a good one.
And how important is that? Or
it tells you more about does somebody know their financial health? That's what it tells me, right? Like, do you follow your credit score? Do you know how you're doing, where you're falling short? What's your relationships with banks? Which, financing, buying cash, that's something we can touch on in a little bit. But if you know your credit score, you know what position you're in to go into that business, because you have to treat it as a business, and you have to look at all the components of that, right? And credit score is one of them. It's like, for my financial health, how do I start the best I can by understanding where I fall short, what I'm messing up, and how can I fix it? And that's almost, some guys don't really know, and if they do know, it's never good. But if it's good, then I think it should be in plus 700s.
Plus 700s. Okay.
Yeah. At least to start, that's a good position, right?
Another one for you. What other components in the owner-operator business?
What other components are there? That's a good one. Well, I would say what I said. We're starting with credit score, but also the most important one is, I feel, your time, because those guys that are buying trucks, they're trying to buy trucks to make more money with doing what they are already have been doing, and they think they can just buy a truck and do it and then make more money, and that's a really bad way of thinking about it.
Make more money and work less. That's what they're thinking.
That,
right?
yeah. And so what happens is when they're thinking, hey, how about I'll just buy a truck and do this exact same thing, but I'm going to make more because I'm not own a truck. No, that's not how it's going to work. You're going to not only completely your time's going to change, and if it doesn't, you're just sitting on a ticking bomb, because now if you're running the same amount of time, and let's be frank here, 12 to 14 hours a day, it's a normal day, and then on top of that, when you come back, you have to think about, hey, is my truck fine?
Am I ready to work the next day?
Yeah, am I ready to work the next day? Am I checking everything? Now you have to factor in downtime. You're not making any money if you have to take it to a shop, so you have to be smart around how and when you're planning your maintenance, but you have to understand maintenance to do that, and you have to know what you're looking at, because just driving a truck is just what I've been repeating before. It's not like buying a car. You can buy a Prius and do Uber for 5 years and be fine, right? So
absolutely, you could. Why not?
with Prius, you could, yeah. But it's just not the same thing, right? And that's one of the components, time. The other one is your network and people around you. Yes, you can get that as you're doing everything, but techs and mechanics is something important to have already established. Like we talked before, if you have, let's say, you pull an oil sample or you have a readout from an efficiency test, take it to your mechanic if you already have it in place, right? It is going to cost some time, and you should pay for somebody's time if somebody's giving you so much valuable time. But it's going to help you make the right decision to buy the right truck, because it's a long-term investment.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, which we should get to in a little bit. But that's one of the other components. And at the same time, relationships, banks, your CPA, business foundation, business basics, understanding that is key, because again, working less and making more, that's never going to work. That's not going to happen. So that's probably, I think, kind of an overall.
You're still going to have those long hours. It's not going to be like 8-hour day. Boom, that's it. Park the
if
truck,
anything, you're only going to put more hours in everything, because now outside of your everything that you're doing as far as driving. Because let's say you go OTR. Well, now you're not home. And then when you get home, you still have to take care of the truck situations, right? You can do it on the road, but then you're just not running. That's downtime. So that's something that drivers should look into for sure.
Now, as far as in looking for a truck, would you say 1 or 2 trucks is enough? Or do I need to look at like at least 10? What are your thoughts on that?
I think you already know the answer. If you've seen 1 or 2,
that's definitely not enough.
Not enough.
Definitely not enough.
I would say, what is the number you should see? I mean,
I would say a good 10 would be a good starting point.
Yeah, which would have to start a lot earlier in your buying process than you're really
rushing yourself into it.
Right? A month earlier, right? You would have to start at 6 months, a year earlier. Start looking at trucks. Let's link Jack's interview here. He did do a good job.
It took him.
He's running already. I've talked to him. He's been doing good. He's trying to get in here, but I'll bring him out, and we'll talk about how things are going.
All right, cool. Did he end up doing like a
Hey, Jack. So hopefully you're safe. Be safe out there.
Drive safe, man, and keep hauling America.
Yeah, I know. All right, what else do you want to talk about? So we talked about the components. We already are, right? Specs, emissions, credit score, and other components. And do you have anything else?
I think we pretty much touched. I guess you would say.
The multiple trucks. Have we exhausted that? No.
Multiple trucks, yeah.
We have?
Yeah.
Well, let me give you a couple things about what I've been hearing. Guys are going to look at a truck and they like it, and they're thinking about buying it without doing all the things that we've talked about, right? And it's almost, and I think I know where it's coming from, but it's almost so hard to tell somebody, hey, well, okay, that's fine that you like the truck. Go still look at 3 other ones, right? Within the same day, take a day off. Just do a run of looking at trucks. You don't have to do it over, just.
You don't have to go in depth.
Yeah.
Just
Just do it
Look
in
around.
one day, right? And then you're gonna see not only what other trucks out there, but now the issue is we are in a market of scarce inventory. There's not a lot of used trucks. So what happens is there's a lot of potential mines that you can step into. So now than ever, you should be a lot sharper in looking at a
Buying,
truck.
yeah.
And what's making you sharper is looking at a lot of trucks all the time. So especially buying from big fleets, like we bought from big fleets, but we bought it at a discounted price. And I would say I've been comparing the prices on the market. Like some guys are asking ridiculous money for their trucks, but it's about $5,000 to like $7,000 difference. Well, I'm gonna take that risk to address all the emissions or any issues that my truck have. But are you placed in a position to actually do that with your one truck?
No way.
And then the next question is, well, are you financing or are you actually buying it cash outright?
Upfront,
Because that's something that drivers struggle that I talk to. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna actually now buy it outright cash, then you deplete it from almost all the money,
Yeah.
right? Because depending on how much money you're starting with. But then if you're thinking about financing, why would you finance a 2015, 16, 14, even 13 emissions truck? You know what I mean?
No.
And that's what I've been hearing a lot. And think about it as an investment. I feel like it's also a status thing, right? You're becoming an owner. Well, if you don't have enough people around you that are actually super candid with you and 100% honest about, hey, those are the downsides, those are the good things, those are the really bad things I had to go through, or this is what I've learned, then you don't have enough good people around you to give you 100% feedback on what they're doing. Everybody wants to appear that they're successful.
Everybody's gonna give you the good side of the story.
Yeah.
Not their.
And so creating, well, I would like to create that narrative in our Owner Operator Forum Facebook group, because I want it to be a place where people can talk about things they struggle, and then everybody else
Their
can
experiences.
learn from that, right? So with that said,
Got one more question for you. What would be, because you get this asked a lot all the time. What's the most common question? I'm looking for my first truck. What's the most common question that you get asked? As in tips, like what's the first step?
can you ask that question again?
So let's say I'm a owner
Mhm.
operator. Well, company driver coming into, hey Sebastian, I want to buy. I'm looking to be an owner operator. What would be my first step? What would you recommend? What would you recommend me to do first?
Great, that's a good one. So what is something that drivers or potential guys that are interested could do? Right? What can they do? Well, one, educate yourself as much as you can, and that sounds boring, but that's unfortunately the way it should be.
Well, what do you mean educate myself about what?
Yeah,
Emissions, right?
Yeah, emissions,
Specs,
truck
yeah.
specs, mainly trucks. You can figure out the business stuff as you go, but the tool you're using to do the business is something that you have to learn and understand when you're jumping into it, because you're not gonna buy a stone pizza oven when you're trying to open a sushi place.
Yeah,
I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but that's exactly what I'm trying to say is like, well, you're going to do the research on knowing what the equipment you're actually using for a specific operation. That's one. And two, my other answer is always buy a glider.
But what is a glider? We had that a couple times.
And guys don't know it. I guys really don't know it. We do have episodes where there's a glider kit. We should link it here too. But I will say the long-term investment, right? What you can do is when you're looking at buying a truck, you're either going to have a bad long-term investment or a good long-term investment. And with the bad long-term investment, you're going to be pissed off every time you drive that truck because it's going to be losing you money, and it's a money
pit. Every time you're at the shop, you're
and or you're sitting on a ticking bomb,
Yeah.
right? And then you're going to be forced at some point to delete emissions. And you shouldn't be forced to do anything, right? So the reason I preach gliders is, yes, it's glider to me is a long-term investment. Any glider we have, when I was considering selling or buying more, I changed my mind because those trucks have so little maintenance issues. It's uncomparable to emission trucks, and that's the only way you're going to be able to succeed as an owner, is when you're looking at that truck as a long-term investment. So we've talked about it previously, is when you hit $1 million, let's say, with a glider, or 700,000 if you have a Fitz, then you have to you can rebuild it again and still run it for another 800,000 or $1 million, right?
Yeah.
So why not look at it that way? Look at in the past how owners did it, and some of the owners I know are still running their equipment they bought in the 80s or 90s. That is taken
They
care
rebuild
of.
them twice.
Yeah, and that's a long-term investment.
Yeah.
Versus a guy buying a truck like look at our D12s. They're such old trucks, but they've been working fine for what we need them to do. Yeah, they need to be upgraded because they're falling apart. But they look at the glider here that we're overhauling right now, or any glider that we have. Right, we can overhaul it, buy a new dash, and keep running it.
Yeah.
Right. So look at the investment as a long-term investment, and then it's not going to piss you off every time that you're driving and that you don't know what's going to happen to the truck.
NOx sensor went out, DPF, DOC, etc.
Guess what's going to happen with if your glider's if your Detroit or N14 is going to start acting up on the road? Guess what's going to happen?
And possibly just do an injector, whatever the case is. It's going to be,
and you're going to still make it back.
Exactly.
Right. It's not like it's going to derate on you and have all those issues.
Majority of the time, our biggest breakdowns on these gliders or D12s, it's most likely a rusted out heater pipe, something external, nothing internal. To be honest with you guys, it's always something that's rusted out, miles on it, wear and tear on it.
Wearables and things that are very easily swappable.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's probably something that you should look into. That's what I would say. That I would recommend. And what are some of the things that you could do is look into gliders, at least start educating yourself about that, see if you can find any, look at the prices, compare the prices, reassess the responsibilities, think about all the outside responsibilities you have without driving, because you're no longer just a driver. And that's a pretty common thing in the industry is, well, I'm just a driver, I don't have to know what I'm looking at. No,
now you do.
You do. Not even when you buy a truck, you still do as a driver. Yeah. So it's just it's another component that you have to think about, and then, like I said, the investment and
willing to grow your knowledge around the business.
Yeah, and commit to it, because if you commit and you're going to be able to accept and face the things that you don't know and learn more, then you're going to be good at it and you're going to be fine. And go leverage the good market that we have right now on the load boards, because load boards are getting paying good, but think about already the downside of that when the load boards are going to level off and it's going to go back to normal. Is it? I don't know. I'm not preaching. I'm saying, well, we just at least think about that so we can prep, right? What if the market dries out and I can run load boards efficiently and make money? Well, I can just park it because I don't have
you don't have a truck node that's really
But even if you do, that maintenance is what's messing you up. Because even if you have that truck node, but you have a glider that you're running efficiently, and even if now all of a sudden you have to but you know that truck is a lot more reliable versus a truck that now you have a truck node and you have high bills of maintenance bills. That's probably the gist of it, and I would say learn, research. Watch this podcast a couple more times, and those are the 5 signs, right? Like that's 5 signs we've been seeing, I've been seeing, you've been seeing that on the maintenance side, people coming in not knowing what they're fixing, right?
Yeah.
And that just asks, shops are just taking advantage of people,
Absolutely.
It's easy if you don't know.
Yeah, especially they're like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything. Oh, that's the perfect guy.
Mm-hmm. We've had situations that I want to close it off with, where we work on customer trucks, and we mean good to change it the way it's supposed to be, and they don't understand it, and they get upset because they have to pay it now. But they said before, hey, fix everything on that truck that needs to be fixed. I've had that a couple of times, and I had to have that conversation, and it's a hard conversation. I don't want to do it. Look, we sit down, we talk about it. This is why we did it. You asked us to work on and everything that needed to be fixed. We gave you a list, and now the bill is high. Well, of course, you have your. That's probably one of the hardest ones, and especially harder when they don't understand what they're talking about. Right?
What you're being billed out for, or why so many hours.
So then you have to explain that too. But shops won't do that. Shops will not tell you or educate you about your truck. You should know that.
You pay the bill, or you won't get your keys. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I did have a question. Let's go to questions. I had a question today in our Facebook group. Somebody posted a question, and I can tell you we're oh, there you go. All right, you ready? The new Cummins X15 engine, is it a good engine? 565 horsepower, 2050 torque is what I'm looking at.
Is it a good engine? It's been out for it's a good engine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd definitely go for it. Yeah.
I don't think we can complain about Cummins. It's been out for a while.
It's been out for a while. This X15.
The only thing I can tell you is the parts are expensive. A little bit more expensive.
It's hard to get parts right now.
It's hard to get parts.
So
we do you want to mention that? Why?
Yeah.
What's happening with our Cummins?
We have our the only Cummins we have in our fleet. What is it? The pressure relief valve. Nobody has it in stock, and a couple other parts that had to get
nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Which could be, the problem with the supply chain right now. But
But I feel like it's more on the Cummins side for some reason. Volvo, we haven't had any issues
because they're coming from Europe. And it's funny because I want to mention here, Volvo cars are Chinese owned. Volvo trucks are still Swedish. Yeah. How do you determine driver pay? Oh, that first question came from Taras Vitale, if I'm pronouncing it good. Sebastian Rebitsky, how do you determine driver pay, and what is your hiring process? Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Driver pay, and how do I, what is your hiring process? Well, my hiring process is obviously marketing, interview. We have people come out. I'm involved in the first stage of interviewing because I love doing it, and I feel like if I'm hiring for my company, I want the people to know who the owner is. And then we go from there. Then my team takes over. We have an application process pretty quick. We check everything that needs to be checked, and then we assign a truck. We agree on what lanes and what we're doing, and that's how it's done. As far as driver pay, that's a good one. You always have to look at competitors and what the market is doing. But you have to now be able to adjust it to what do you have and what are you offering. Because what happens is, I can tell you, since drivers are in demand, drivers want to get paid more for what they're doing, right? So we had an agreement on, hey, I'm going to run locally, be home every day, and I'm done after 10 hours. Well, now they want to match whatever OTR guys are making. That's the common mistake I've been seeing. Right?
That's not possible. No way.
So so you have to understand, it's like, well, what is the agreement? And then when you look at driver compensation, you look at his MVR, you look at his experience and commitment to show up and do the work. Because the problem right now is people don't show up to work, and that is important. And that sounds ridiculous, but it's actually not only in trucking, it's everywhere. From what I've been hearing, people are just like, it's comfortable to work from home and still get some money on the side, right? A good question, Sebastian. Cody Guntz said, you turn up your nose at first gen D13s. Something about the fuel rail, but have never really explained why. Are they a bad buy on the grounds of of the vintage alone. That's a good one. So
is he asking about the common rails or the
no. So I think
the
he got
08s, 09s?
the first gen common rail. Yeah.
Oh, so 17s.
So you turn up. So it's a little confusing because I think he got you turn up your nose at first gen D13s.
Yeah. 08,
So
09.
first gen is 08, 09, but they don't have common rail. So if you mean D13s first gen or first gen common rail, so let's hit both. First gen D13s, as any first gen, had a lot of issues. Injector cups, we talked about it before. Injectors, the design of the injector cup itself, all right? But the common rail is the same thing. They introduced something new, and
some of the pistons were going out as well.
And it's the same. It's the same thing. Any first gen
of anything across the board,
I would like to
stay away from
get a later generation of that. Yes. I hope that answers your question. How do you grow from one truck to a fleet?
That's a good one.
Acquiring dedicated lanes. That's a good one. You could. There's a couple. The way I did it was by relationships, obviously, but seeing opportunity in times where you could grow, and making bold moves. So, but that comes back to understanding trucks. Growing from what I'm hearing, growing from one truck to multiple trucks by owners that don't know what they're talking about trucks,
that's not
is
gonna
not a
happen.
good idea.
No.
Yeah. So if Cesar Avalos, thank you for that question. Acquiring dedicated lanes is also an option. You could do that with let's say you can look into FedEx Ground program, which I used to do with my dad. You could acquire those lanes. You could buy them. Is it something that you want to get into? Well, if you want to be an owner up and run under somebody, then that's a good solution. But if you want to own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trucks, yeah, maybe that's a good solution. But understanding, you still have to understand equipment, and if you want to grow from 1 to 5, it's all relationships.
But they're also making it harder, aren't they? Now,
because
especially with these.
In California, you can't do it anymore.
You can't do it, right? And if I'm not mistaken, you can't have any gliders with them anymore because of their whole camera situation going on.
Could be, the front
Possibly,
camera. So if we're talking about FedEx now, we could dig into that maybe as a separate topic. Is who could you grow with, like your fleets, like within FedEx Ground, within Landstar, within. There's a couple other companies that we can prep. That's a good topic. We will definitely address it. Patrick Evans, make a list of common engines that come into your shop. So how long on the average will the following last in each injector, turbo, etc.? Come up with major maintenance schedule for parts to be changed before they fail. I know some larger fleets do this to limit downtime. That's a good one. That's a lot of work. Good one, yeah. But definitely a good one.
We kind of did something similar to that, but we never got too in depth.
Yeah, we never did. But we're super open for you guys. I love the questions. I just looked at it today, and I posted it last night, and we got a decent amount of questions. And I really would like everybody to hop in the forum and reach out and start asking questions. If you have any issues, hey guys, I have an issue with this. Can anybody help? We do have people. I'm there all the time. I usually don't use social media, but I'm on that group all the time. So please visit, and then let's just have a good conversation around how to make things better for our businesses. And if you're thinking about buying a truck, so we can also help. That was a long one, man.
That's a good,
33 minutes. So you want to finish this off?
Yes, guys. Well, appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, share, and we'll talk to you soon.